What's up, Central Illinois business owners? We know that insurance and employee benefits are one of the most expensive, confusing, and frustrating hurdles that you face in your business today. Garrett and I work with Central Illinois businesses to create insurance and risk management programs and employee benefit solutions that reduce risk, enhance your business, and maximize your profitability. Head to CIBLinsurance.com to learn more about insurance solutions that are specifically designed for your Central Illinois businesses and to watch our educational videos about work comp, employee health insurance, commercial insurance, and other insurance products to help your business go to the next level. Go to CIBLinsurance.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I'm Derek Hayden. I'm here with Garrett Ulmer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit or wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at zambuliquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, today's guest is the owner of Kenny Hyde Wellness. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome Kenny Hyde, your wellness guide. How you doing, Kenny?
Doing really good. Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor.
Awesome.
No, absolutely. We're just glad you're here, man. Appreciate you joining the show.
Yeah, man. We're excited to learn about your story and about your business. But before we do, Kenny, I'm going to kick it over to Garrett, and he's going to take you through our speed round questions.
Yep. So it's the six toughest questions you're ever going to face in your life. If you can answer them in 60 seconds, we'll see what you got, man.
All right.
All right. The first concert that you ever attended.
Warped Tour. Warped Tour. First concert. I mean, Warped Tour, that counts, right?
Yeah.
That counts, yeah.
Okay. There were probably like 8 to 15 bands, something like that going on.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Favorite movie.
This is tough, man. Wow. Mousetrap.
Mousetrap. All right.
There we go.
Let's see. I know I'm looking at your website and I'm going to ask this question. So I don't know how much ice cream that you eat, but your favorite ice cream flavor.
Ben & Jerry's Half Baked.
All right. Nice. iPhone or Android?
Android.
Ooh, I don't know if we can be friends anymore, man. You know that's as bad as politics anymore today, right? Oh, shoot. Favorite social media platform?
Oh, Instagram, probably.
Nice. Last but not least, why Central Illinois?
That's great. Conditions and circumstances, and this is honest, and I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So 2 parts.
Absolutely. Great answers.
Like it. And you said you grew up in Pike County, Illinois, which is, if you cut the state into 3 tiers, that's still kind of Central Illinois. It's just it's more Western Illinois, but
right, exactly.
Yeah. It still makes the median,
Yes,
yeah.
right.
There you
Deer
go.
hunting capital.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Whitetail deer. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Well, Kenny, what we'd like to do at this point, we're going to hand you the mic. You tell us your story. Tell us about your business. You can share anything as far back as you'd like to go, bring us up to speed with what's going on today and anything in between.
Perfect. So it's probably going to be best for me to start from the beginning. I grew up, like I said, small town, and I started to have problems with my health, and just from, my parents not knowing any better, I'm eating Mickey D's every day, wondering at 18, high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, and having to get on medication. So, I always consider that now my blessing, and was very fortunate along the way to have good mentors and coaches that kind of put me in the right place and got me on a track for success. So that, when I started to change small things about my behavior, about my lifestyle, so did my results. And I think it's a kind of normalized today where we just blame our genetics, and that's kind of the end of it, right? But one thing I've studied from working with good coaches and studying success and health, like I do, our environment is a huge part of our impact in regards to our health, our longevity. I mean, shoot, our business, right? So it really is very success driven. And so basically, and then losing my father in 2015 to a massive heart attack, seeing him not take too good a care of himself as well. I'd always been more of an athlete and just kind of going on a track of improving my health, my physique, my confidence, and my physical ability, just from changing small things, and doing it the hard way, 15 years of figuring it out. And so I see myself now as an accountability coach. That's kind of that shortcut for people. I've got a 3-month all the way to a year one-on-one coaching program that is really specific. It helps people to identify where they're stuck, how to avoid gimmicks, no supplementation. I'm not selling any products. It's really just that time-spaced repetition of working with somebody, a service-based business, to get you the support and accountability that you need. So
awesome. Awesome.
Cool.
So just kind of researching your business a little bit, Kenny. You mentioned that you work with a lot of busy business people.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and I know I kind of fall into this realm where you start to get a professional life, and then you get married, have kids, start coaching different kids sports. And before you know it, you're just going home and, like you said, grabbing McDonald's because it's fast and easy. Kids will eat it. So you get that. And all of a sudden, now you're like, oh my gosh, what's happened to me? I was an athlete, like you said, back in the day. So tell us a little bit about working with people who are busy in their everyday lives, and some of the things that maybe you can, that you help those people with.
Right. I think that's awesome topic, because I've done this I didn't share that with you guys. About 5 years, I've been a professional coach. Went through training with my mentor, signed up for a $8,000 coaching program back when I didn't have it. I mean, I was an electrician working out of Decatur.
Okay.
And I signed up for this program, and it just changed my life. So seeing the different trends and habits and what we say and excuses from people, hundreds of people in the past 5 years, I've kind of narrowed it down where the start of the issues are. And maybe that doesn't totally go into what you want, but I think it's really valuable. Most people are overestimating what it takes to change. I'd say that's number one, which probably isn't common to hear. A lot of people assume, in order to see any benefits with their body or their health, they have to have a fancy gym membership. They've got to buy expensive supplements. It's got to cost more money to eat. All their favorite stuff goes away, like beer and pizza, right? Those two things alone. And so what I do is I help them put it in order, right? And I think one of the biggest philosophies that I share is let's stop making the vice the bad guy, and let's just incorporate it into our life in a way that works. It allows us to do and have and be everything we want to be, but we put it into that order, right? The opposite of order is disorder.
Sure.
So it's the philosophy is earn the beer.
Yeah, that's right, man. So it sounds like you put a plan together.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Program.
Yep. And I think that's what the common thing is with Derek and I when we meet with a lot of, business owners, especially successful ones. It's having a plan, right? They may start on a whim and start the business just on a go, but eventually they put a good plan together to make it all work. So
100%.
Yeah. You mentioned, as you kind of talking, the 95% failure rate. And you kind of mentioned some of those things about why people probably fail, but you see it every year. Everybody on, January 1st, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. They go buy the gym membership. They buy the book to start the keto diet, and they change everything. I'm not saying I am not guilty of that, because I've done it a few times myself. I'm the guy that bought P90X. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get shredded. And then 5 days in, I can't move my arms. I'm done. I'm not doing this. So tell us a little bit about that failure rate of, maybe why people get in their head they have to do this and this, and then a week later they're done. Tell us a little bit about kind of your philosophy there.
Yeah, I think it all stems from what's popular. I'm
Yeah.
writing a book right now. It's going to be called The Popularity Prison. And,
Okay, wow.
it's like, in a lot of ways, doing what's popular really contributes to our life, but it becomes this thing, right? Where we're just doing what everybody else is doing, and we're winding up no better off, So I believe that the word, like our vocabulary, has a major effect on our performance. We hypnotize ourselves, these words: cut, quit, restrict, limit, portion, count, can't, weigh, try, all these words that help form an industry that has a 95% failure rate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, diets do not work. If we're not keeping the main thing, we're going to fail. It has to be sustainable. That I do teach in the very beginning when somebody enrolls. We talk about success class. And the very first part of what my mentor taught me, the definition of success, is progressive. It must be progressive, meaning time-spaced repetitions. The moment we quit, we could become good at it. We could get good at it. And that's really what I've seen, is just people getting good at quitting. So does that answer that?
Yeah,
pretty well?
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, just looking at, we've got your website up, which is, for all the listeners and viewers, kennyhyde.com. That's KENNYHYDE.com. One thing, first off, on a business note, I like that you have your plans and pricing on your website.
I do too.
Do you? That has been my quandary for ages. I'm like, I put it up, I've taken it down, I've put it up, I've taken it down.
Yep.
No, I think it's a great idea, just for the simple fact, Derek and I, we work in the insurance business. Of course, a lot of people are concerned with pricing, but most time we need to put a good plan together first. But it gives somebody an idea real quick, in my opinion. I think you'll gain the people that you want, and if it's more than what they want to spend, then I hate to say it, they're not your client anyways, Kenny. You know what I mean? That's just my piece on it. What do you think, Derek?
That's what I would say. I'd say you're going to weed out the people who are just kicking tires. You get the people who are serious and are willing to invest in themselves. And B, it's going to save you time, because you'll get the tire kickers who are now going to send you an email or give you a call to see what the pricing is. And you're going to spend your time answering their questions, when you do have to do that to sell a little bit. But if you have that pricing in there, they can say, okay, I'm doing it. I'm making the investment in Kenny and myself, and they don't have to, waste your time trying to get the information. And that would be my advice too, is keep it on there, because I think you're going to get more serious buyers, serious clients that way.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you guys for that. That was a gem.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So looking at your plans and pricing, I see you have a few different options here of how to work with you. One is called Transform You. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Transform You is my no holds barred approach to basically wants and needs. Whatever it is, it's unlimited. Now, to get the full benefit of it, you are going to want to be in network. So that's kind of the Lincoln, Springfield, Jacksonville area is kind of primarily where I do things. And really mainly Springfield. We've got Harvest Market here. I do a lot of grocery tours. I take people to the grocery store and Aldi. I'm a big fan of Aldi.
Yeah.
Food is a big part, with the lifestyle stuff that I focus on. So what was your question? I just lost it.
What is Transform You?
Transform You is basically, exactly that. The standard one-on-one, that is what I've done for 5 years. It's kind of that, but we also add in the mental stuff. So I even teach people about affirmation. I don't know if you guys are familiar with affirmations. Well, I've been taught by my coaching that it's very important to do while we sleep. Because our consciousness goes to sleep, right?
Sure.
But our subconscious is still wide awake. And so you can actually go in there and reprogram with repetition. And if you've never done that, it's a real trip. So they're going to get included their own Bluetooth headset, so they're not disturbing their partner while they're sleeping. And they can do these powerful mental reprogramming exercises in conjunction with the accountability and the lifestyle program as well.
Very,
Nice.
very cool. That's awesome. So, they can ask you questions there on your website. I'm sure they can find more information, but for transparency purposes, are you willing to share the pricing for the Transform You on the podcast
Transform You is $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep,
Perfect.
$1,000 a
Perfect.
month. It's a real deal. Like, that is one thing I've learned on the come up was as you discount your service, so does the perceived value. It goes in the
Absolutely.
direction.
Absolutely.
So that one, I'm like, you know what? If you are like, if this is it and you're tired of, like, I want this to be the last thing you ever have to do.
Yeah.
When it comes to your
Yeah.
health, your goals,
Yeah.
because there's so much, that I can help a person with, and how I coach is based off the things that you like, feedback driven, kind of like you guys are doing here.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
very feedback driven. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I
And
want to
then-
take a few steps back if you're okay with it. So you went back, you're saying
Please.
you're 18 years old.
Yep.
You're on high cholesterol. You had high cholesterol and high blood pressure.
Elevated cholesterol. It wasn't yet the medication area, but the blood pressure was. Yeah.
All right. And so then kind of take me from the steps of that 18 years old to maybe a little bit of how you got here. You said you had some really good mentors that kind of got you in the processes, and you said you were an electrician for a while. So take me just a few of those steps, if you would, and take us back to, kind of catch us up with some of that.
Perfect. So I'm a product of coaching.
Okay.
I owe most of my success to the accountability part. And I think where that comes from is kind of important for a business standpoint. The majority of my friends, and I think it's common when you see somebody, a standout person, it's really common for people to want to ridicule and criticize. And for whatever reason, I just thank God that I wasn't that way. I think it had a lot to do with my upbringing. My grandpa in particular, who's a successful businessman. I don't know if you've heard of Area Disposal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
My grandfather was a founder of that company.
Okay.
Cool.
So, Kenneth Schwab. And I was actually named after him.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
So basically, I would go and compliment him, get to know him, befriend him. And now pretty soon they're telling me all their secrets. The biggest guy in the gym, they want to say steroids. My friends want to say steroids, so they can sleep at night. And here I am, like, my gosh, you're as big as a house. Like, and then learning from that person. And now you've got a good, somebody who's, it's like, no, he's working harder than you.
Yeah.
And that's not what they wanted to hear. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is what put me on that path. And then also, struggle and just taking that temporary defeat and every time converting it into a blessing in disguise. Right. That's kind of been my process, and finding people that can help me, that are doing better than me. You know? And just, it's not that they are better, they're doing better. They've got some kind of fruit in their life that I haven't figured out yet. And versus the standard education system. Like I said, I was on a grant for UIS.
Okay.
And I had no clue what I wanted to be a physical therapist, I think, at the time. And I didn't really have any purpose. And so fell into a bit of an alcohol problem. And I think it was just due to no drive, no purpose. Also, I got there from dyslexia. I was diagnosed, learning disability. And so one day everything blew up in my face, DUI, the whole thing. And I had to pull out of school. It was demoralizing. And I finally kind of readjusted. I was at that rock bottom and said, holy crap, now I get to study what I want to. Sure. And so the first investment I made, and this was probably 12, 13 years ago, I bought audible.com, started studying. Physical reading was always hard for me.
Okay.
And so that $14 a month investment, that was like the start of my life starting to go like this,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just like study every day is like kind of how I got there.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I would say, Garrett, and I'm only speaking for myself, but I think I'm probably speaking for you when I say that's part of the perks of doing this podcast is we get to learn from people who have done things better than we have. And you get to hear, how Kenny Hyde, became healthier, and how XYZ CEO became successful. And then we get to apply that to our own businesses. And, you know, being able to surround yourself with people who are winning, and you stay in that positive mindset, and you're able to, you know, if he can do it, I can do it. Or if she can do it, I can do it. And you're able to, you know, feed off of other people, and you learn things that, you know, had you stayed where you're at, you wouldn't have learned. And then hearing what you're reading or listening to and what podcasts you listen to, and then we tap into the same resources. And I think that's how you can really build your own, not just business, but your health, wealth, whatever happens to be. I think that's a big part of this podcast, is us, you know, one of the perks of us doing it is we get to tap into those people.
Well, I think the best point that you made, Kenny, you're celebrating somebody else's success.
Mm-hmm.
In a world today to where, you know, Derek and I talk, it's an Instagram world, right? It's just the highlights. Most of them are fake highlights anyways, let's face it, you know, but helping somebody celebrate when something does go well. I mean, it all comes full circle most of the time. And, you know, it's a very common theme for us is on all the podcasts I listen to, is when you surround yourself with people that you think are doing better than you, what's it do to you? It pushes you, right? Hey, how are you getting to that level? I want to know, you know. And you can either surround yourself with negativity or surround yourself with positivity. And it's a huge driver.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I love you guys doing this together, because this is my first, I think I'm on, this will be probably my 8th or 10th podcast, something like that. And you guys are the first ones where I've had two hosts. So
gotcha.
You guys
are
good. Really,
well, we may need both brains to make one. I don't know.
Yep. We act like we know what we're doing, but we've said this before. We make it up as we go. So we must be good at fibbing. So
very professional, and it's flowing. I love it, man.
Appreciate it, man. Awesome. Well, you kind of mentioned your mentoring and some of the training you took. What are some of the do you have any professional designations or any professional things that you've done within the wellness field?
I mean, that's kind of the tough part is I never say I'm a smart person. You know, I was never an intellect, never got any good grades, you know, always struggled in that area. But when it comes to like being coachable and being told, hey, your way clearly doesn't work, you know, like that's what my first coach said to me. He's like, Kenny, my way does, you know, and so having that certain level of humility, I would say, is really the only thing I'm doing well at, is being humble enough to say, I need help. You know, I'm not where I want to be. And I think if more people could do that, they'd see a lot more progress, you know.
Sure.
Agreed. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Go ahead, Garrett.
I was pulling up some more stuff on his website here.
No, you mentioned your book. You're writing your book.
Yeah. 10 pieces.
Okay. So we've had a few people on who have written books, and we try to ask this question because I think there's more and more people interested in writing a book. Are you self-publishing? Have you hired a publisher? What's your process look like on writing that book, Kenny?
Number one, getting it done, and having a time-spaced repetition. That's basically what I do is I teach people what habits are, 2 parts, repetition and impact. And so I'm doing the same thing. And I in my mind, I think self-publish, and just to me, it's a tool, number one, for myself, just to give me some clarity, and also art, like something to contribute to the world that could resonate with a certain type.
Sure.
And also having one of my mentors said, write a book because people will throw away your business cards, but they tend not to throw away a book.
There you go.
So that's kind of the add value, and also make it hard for when I give one to somebody, hard for them to throw away. And also as a tool for speaking, that's been my big goal for this year, is to do more in-person speaking and have something to offer, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
do you have an estimated timeline of when you're hoping to have the book completed then?
Yeah, early next year, I want to have it done.
Great.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah. So speaking of books, you mentioned Audible. What are you reading, and what have you read? What books would you recommend to our listeners?
Okay, so I'm a huge fan, as you can see, of Grant Cardone and the 10X.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you guys have been introduced to that or not, but
yeah,
that's like I've never done any hard drugs, but I imagine it's the reading equivalent of cocaine.
I like it. I like it. So which books of his have you read?
All of them right
All
now.
of them?
And one tip I learned from my first mentor, Bob, his name's Bob Proctor. He's a Canadian silver-haired guy who's actually passed.
Yep.
He said, never read a good book through one time.
Okay.
Our school teaches us that. And he said, it's not that there's something in the book that wasn't there before. It's there's something in you that wasn't there before. And I think that's so true. If you find a good book, like, don't just read it once. And so I'm reading the Closer's Survival Guide for probably my third time. And anytime, how I do my Audible is I use pain. So like whatever's being a pain in my life, I identify it, and then I've got a prescription for it.
Okay.
And I do that approach too with my clients. I've got a huge library.
Cool.
When Bob was in his 80s when he passed, and when he was asked in an interview right before he died, they said, what is the best advice you've ever received? Because you're a great lifelong learner. Like, he's a legend. And he said, without hesitation, study every day. He said, if we put half as much money into our head as we put in our bank accounts, we won't want for anything in our life. So that's kind of been the process, is like, just trust that what he says is the right thing. And I haven't stopped. So
cool. Yeah. Well, it's funny you said Bob Proctor. We just had a guy on not too long ago, Garrett, probably 3 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, it was probably 2-3 months.
Really?
Sean Shuchuk is a guy's name.
I got to reach out to him.
He's also Canadian.
Yes.
And he talked about his experience when he was broke, didn't have any money.
And did he meet with him at the hotel?
Yeah. He went to his event at a hotel and like tracked him down, and basically talks about now he's a speaker and a coach and everything himself. And
I got to meet that guy.
Yeah. You'll have to connect with him.
Because Bob's dead. Bob's passed.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact words, and I don't want to mess it up, but it was his seminar. He didn't have enough money to get into the seminar. So somehow did he go to a dinner the night before?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Tracked him down and told him, he's like, be here at 6 a.m. in the morning and we'll have coffee. Yeah. And
that's amazing.
So we had coffee with the guy and with Bob. And then I think he basically told him, he's like, if you don't have enough money, that just means you can't afford not to get into my seminars then. And I can't remember what it cost, but it was a pretty astronomical figure.
Chunk, yeah.
Yeah. And he did it. He's like, I did everything I could. I got into it, and the guy's been a success ever since. So it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another one, not to keep touting our past episodes, but about writing a book. Every now and then we'll do a biz tips series, which is kind of a separate.
I like
series.
that. I checked that out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's one where we interviewed Francie Heinrichsen from Peoria, and she wrote a book and talks about how she published it. She talks about self-publishing, and I think she hired a third party to help publish as well. So we did like a 3-part series with her about writing a book. So that's one that you might want to check out too. That was probably about a year ago, I would say.
It's been quite a while. Yeah.
So anyway, hate to keep touting our other podcasts.
Oh, you're just giving to me though. Thank you.
There you go. So the Cardone books, any other books that you would recommend to listeners?
I like real simple, short ones.
Yeah.
And 2 of them that really hit hard for as long as they take to read. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles.
Okay.
And As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It talks a lot about thought, and that's a big part of my coaching. You know, a lot of that gets missed half the time. You know, it's like, what are you thinking? What's your inner dialogue? You know, that's important. Attitude, things like that. So those 2 books, I think, are foundational for understanding yourself. And I think in business, that's huge, is being able to, master self first. If we can't do that, we're gonna, I can already raise my hand on that's a problem.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, I think when it comes to fitness or just most things in life, I think everybody's so scared to fail to even try, right? It's like, man, it's been 20 years since I've worked out. It's been 5 years, been 2 years, whatever the case is. And we're so scared to fail that we don't try. And I see that with, kids and sports. It's like they're so scared that they're going to miss the fly ball that they don't even want to go try to catch the fly ball, and I try to say all the time, without failure, there's no success, right? You have to fail to succeed. It's just,
Yes.
in the Instagram world, like we talk about, everybody wants to see the success, but nobody sees all the failures to get to it. Right.
Yep.
So you just got to keep fighting.
I think that's where all the entitlement comes from. We see immediate impact, and then it makes the work seem like it's, they miss that part.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's for sure. We're actually, believe it or not, Kenny, we're getting close to the 30-minute mark. Before we jump off of here, is there any advice specifically to busy professionals that are listening to this podcast? Any advice for wellness in busy people's lives?
I think so. I think there's a lot, and I think I can make it pretty quick. So we're at 30 minutes. It's the start that stops most people. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting the cocktail that I use is we've got to have the right information. So it's an information assisted process. We don't know what we don't know, right? And our results indicate it. And so if we want our results to improve, we got to get the right information. So you're already going to know half of it, but it's putting it in the right order and having it work. It has to be repeatable. So counting calories and all those things, it's like learn the truth first. And that's what's integrated into my program. Whole foods. If there was a nutritional secret, it's real food.
Yeah.
It's eating the stuff that comes from the ground more often, and just working towards that makes it so you don't have to count. That food is already much lower in calories. Yeah. So that is a secret that's plugged into my program. So getting the information. Number 2 is the accountability. Now that's the insurance policy on your success. Okay. So having that time-spaced repetition where you set it in stone to have a professional in your corner that's going to tailor and help you build your new lifestyle. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is inspiration. Moving from motivated, external, to now you're inspired, and that's an internal thing. So I think a lot of people get set on the wrong target. They're focused on motivation when that's fleeting like the weather anyway. Like, let's inspire ourselves. Let's get enough impact to keep that flywheel and that momentum going. So that's kind of been I guess that's what I would say is like, check me out and at least do like your free consultation call to see if it'd be a good fit for you. I would challenge any listeners that maybe struggle or they're tired of trying, gimmicks and relying on gimmicks. Like do the right thing this time. And I would just encourage them to get a hold of me. So that's
awesome.
So you said about reaching out to you. What's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Best way, my personal number, which is all on all my platforms, but any of them, just Kenny Hyde, personal, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, for all you listeners out there, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on your favorite podcast platform. While you're there, please leave a review. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can also find us on social media, mainly Facebook and LinkedIn. You can connect with Garrett and I there personally as well. Until next time, Kenny, you've officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL Podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.
What's up, Central Illinois? You know what you all need? You all need some CIBL podcast swag. And thanks to our newest sponsor, Jedco Sales, you can now find our swag at CIBLmerch.com. You can find t-shirts, sweatshirts, polos, hats, and more, all classically adorned with our famous CIBL podcast logo. If you want to represent and support your favorite podcast, check out CIBLmerch.com. That's CIBLmerch.com. If you like our store, you can also build your very own business swag store with the help of Jedco Sales in Effingham, Illinois. Jedco is owned by previous CIBL guests, Andrew and Laren Dial. They've set up a special discount offer for CIBL guests and listeners to set up your very own custom branded swag store. You can now offer branded apparel to your employees, customers, and fans, and Jedco will fulfill all the orders for you. Contact Jedco at sales@jedcosales.com. That's sales@JEDCO sales.com, and tell them that Garrett and Derek sent you. Let Jedco help you get noticed.